What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's Lucid, and today we are going to talk about the sun through the signs. I'm just going to give a quick little overview about my opinion on each sun sign and kind of the personality that I find when I meet those signs, and then actual factual signs as well. So half my opinion, half actual stuff from actual astrology. That sounds weird. Okay. First sign, as we know now, Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, and I don't know a lot of Aries, I know a couple, and all of them are very, they're just badasses. They're so bold and so brave and fiery. They're ruled by Mars, which is the fighting energy, the warrior, the action-packed, they channel that energy in their personality. So if you meet an Aries, a lot of times they're going to be very driven, sometimes the driven factor is impulsive drivenness. So whereas someone else is consistently going it day after day, they're ooh, let's go do this, ooh, let's go do that, ooh, let's go do this now. They're always ready to go. They're always ready to go somewhere and do something. They're really I know a lot of people think that they're really selfish, but I actually think that they're very giving if you know them long enough. If you just met them and you're just hanging out with them for a little while, maybe you think that, but the Aries I know, a lot of them are very giving, they're very kind, they're not afraid to go after what they want, which is very cool to me personally. They're not shy at all. I mean, other placements can affect this, but just general Aries energy, they're just ready to take life by the horns. I mean, they're the ram, so I guess that kind of makes sense, that saying. They're just ready to go for it, and they don't have any obstacles in their way. They will literally jump over every obstacle. They are the warrior. They're going to get through whatever is in their way. I love that about their energy. Maybe downfalls would probably be their temper. Aries are known to have pretty short tempers, but just as fast as that temper shows up, it also goes away very quickly. So they could get really upset about something, and then they're just as quickly over it as they are about it. Does that make sense? Just as fast as they are angry is as fast as they, they're done. They're on to the next thing. So I like that they don't harp over things over and over again. They kind of just keep it going. They're consistently always going towards the next thing. So yeah. Next sign in the wheel, Taurus. I would say Taurus is I don't want to say just stubborn, but most Tauruses, I know a good number of Tauruses. Most Tauruses I know are pretty, they're ruled by Venus. They're ruled by Venus. Yeah, Taurus people are ruled by Venus, so they have a very earthy, sensual quality to them, but they also still have that bull, totem animal, or their glyph. So a lot of the Tauruses I know like to have a good time. They like to relax. They enjoy their earthly pleasures. They enjoy relaxing in an environment they like, eating the foods they like, doing the things they want to do. They really like to indulge in their five senses. And if someone an Aries stepped in and was hey, let's go do this, they're no, I want to do this. And then the Aries no, come on, it'll be fun. And then Taurus no, I like doing this. I'm gonna stay here and do this. So I feel just that ram and that bull energy is it shows in a different way. So Aries is ready to go, and Taurus is ready to chill. You know what I'm saying? So I feel it's very different for both of them. But Taurus is also a fixed sign versus Aries, which is cardinal. So cardinal's let's go do this, and Taurus I'm just gonna chill. But I really do like how hardworking Tauruses are for things that they want. They have that same drive. It's just focused on specific things that they want, or the things that make them feel comfortable, or things that make them feel like their environment reflects what they want to see in their world. The next sign is going to be Gemini. And I feel so bad for Gemini because they always are getting so much hate. And I mean, it can, I know some Geminis that can be kind of flaky, but so can most people just in 2000 and whatever year we are in right now. So I would say for most of the Geminis that I know, the main energy that I get from most Geminis is probably just intellectual curiosity. They're so mentally witty and just ready to talk, and not just sometimes it's about gossip and drama, but it really depends on the kind of Gemini you're talking to. I would say for most of the Geminis I know, they actually want to talk about a lot of different things. They just can switch over to so many conversations at the same time, and a lot of other people can't do that. So I don't necessarily think that that's a Gemini flaw. I just think maybe other people just can't keep up with them because they're ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication. So they have a lot of mercurial qualities about them that's going to be driving their personality. They're going to want to talk. They're going to want to explore. And, you know, Mercury traveled, they're going to want to fly around in conversation, stuff like that. But I really think that as far as like overall personality goes, they are the twins as well. I feel that they are very good at becoming like entrepreneurs. I don't know if a lot of Geminis are entrepreneurs, but like the Geminis that I've seen can get so much done and efficiently get most of those tasks done if they stay focused. Some of them can be all over the place, but if like they actually have like something that they want, that Gemini energy really helps them to like put their hands in a lot of different projects and none of them be like debilitated because of that. I would say maybe some of the things that Geminis could work on or like Gemini energy is probably, I guess maybe that just in relationships this might come out, because most people just are like, oh, I don't want to date a Gemini, but they're like kind of cool with being friends with them as long as it's not like, you know, they don't want like a long term or they need something stable kind of thing, because Geminis do like that's not like, they're not doing it on purpose. I mean, some of them probably could be, but I'm not trying to get into that. I would say probably the flakiness, or like just not really necessarily thinking in emotional terms, more in, you know, mental, logical terms, and sometimes that is to their detriment because they don't recognize that they're like hurting other people's feelings. They're like, no, I just don't want to do that right now, or like, oh, whoops, I forgot, sorry, haha. Anyway, yay, did you hear about this? Oh my gosh. And the other person's like, okay. So I would say maybe that, but yeah, that's Gemini. Next up is Cancer, and I would say most of the Cancers I know are moody. And I know that's like a thing, but maybe not even moody, maybe just more so like they feel emotions very deeply. They're very intuitive, I would say. I would probably call it that instead. So a lot of the time they're going to be thinking on an emotional plane about everything. Everything is going to be centered around how they feel emotionally. So like if they're having a bad day and they're not having fun, like they're going to try and have fun with you, but you're going to be able to see it. Like they can't get past whatever it is that they're feeling. So like a lot of their stuff is emotionally driven, but they also are very caring, and I feel like being on that emotional plane makes them like the type of personality that they're like the mom friend, or like the friend that people go to for advice all the time. So I notice a lot of Cancers wind up being like therapists or counselors to their friends, and that's because they know how to place themselves in other people's shoes and be emotionally intuitive about other people and how they feel. And I guess some signs aren't necessarily that good at doing it, or they don't have the energy for it. So I feel like that watery energy, and they are ruled by the moon, so it's like the phases that the moon goes through are just the same emotional phases that a Cancer would go through. So I feel like that definitely plays out in a lot of Cancers I know. They go by the phases of the moon, and they just kind of go with the flow of their emotions. And as long as I feel like Cancers don't fight that, it works to their advantage versus like trying to like be one way when they should just allow whatever emotion it is they're feeling and then like let it pass with the phases. I would say probably some of the weaknesses of Cancer is being overly emotional, or like not having control over their emotions or emotional state, and becoming like very like negative or like depressed or moody, and like once something bad is going on, like everything else is bad. They don't really know how to separate it from some good things. So I think definitely feeling like self-loathing, I guess would be a good word for it, or like just feeling like, oh god, I'm a victim, like kind of thing. I don't want to call you victims, Cancers, I'm sorry. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, I guess the crab thing, you know, they can be kind of like snappy with people, especially if they don't know someone and someone tries to get close to them too fast. They might be very kind of standoffish. So like personality wise, they can be very sweet, but they can also be very reclusive. So you kind of don't really know with them. But Leos, what's up, Leos? Okay, so all the Leos I know love attention. That's just like a thing. And it's not like they love it just because they want to have it. Like they're so focused on like exemplifying their great qualities, or like always showing like they love, like they know what they love about themselves and the things they want to work on, and the things they love, they really love to shine those things. Like they're ruled by the sun, so they're gonna shine like their best qualities out on everybody. and like they're the lion as well, so they have pride, and they're walking around, they're like, oh, you like my hair, oh, you like my clothes, you like this, like that. Like they feel proud of who they are, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Some Leos can get way too like into themselves, and I think that's where the downfall comes into play. Basically, for most of these signs, whatever their strength is can also be their weakness if it's like over exemplified, if they're like always feeding into that, I think. So while like Leos can help other people feel proud of like their strengths and like make people learn how to like love themselves and feel proud of themselves, they can also be really like obnoxious with like always having to talk about themselves or make things about themselves. So I think it's good for them to like find a balance. But Leos are, despite like, you know, liking attention, they also are very hardworking, and they do work for what they want. And so they also feel like, I worked hard, I deserve to like brag about this, I deserve to be able to like show off like, yeah, I got this, like look what I had, like I earned this, so why wouldn't I like want to talk about it, kind of thing. They're very proud of themselves, and that is not a bad thing at all. They're considered like the father of the zodiac with the sun energy. Like they exemplify, like their sign is exalted in the sun sign, basically, because it's ruled by the sun. So when Leo's in the sun sign, that personality really shines. They're like, this is like the perfect placement for Leo energy, is in the sun sign. So a lot of Leos, you know, will probably be very bright, very sunny, very smiley. They just want to have fun, they want to have a good time, they want life to just be extraordinary and extravagant, like a beautiful movie. And yeah, I think that's all I know about Leos, really. Okay. Next up is one of my favorites. I don't have favorites, I'm just kidding. It's Virgo. And Virgo is so hardworking, but in like such a detail-oriented way. Like, I know this sounds bad, but I always like think of like feng shui or like organizational systems, or like really fine like tuning of the details when I think about Virgos. Most of the Virgos I know how to take a system that's flawed and like implement a new system to make it work 10 times better. I worked with a Virgo personally, and it was like the best person to ever work with, like ever. She was so good about like, and I have Virgo placements too, but like she had a Virgo sun, and like it just, I could just see it all over her. Like everything she did had a purpose, made sense, and like was like the most efficient and like least complicated way to get something done that provided the most effective results. And Virgos are known for being like very analytical, and sometimes, like I said, the strength can be the weakness. So in the same way that Virgos are very good at analyzing systems and making them more efficient, that as a strength, it can also be the downfall in the way that they can become overly critical, or they can become overly critical of people and their habits versus like systems and things. They can kind of take that energy and become very nitpicky about the way other people do things, and thinking that their way is inherently right or correct or better. And a lot of times they are the most efficient thinkers. It's all about delivery though, so I feel like for a lot of Virgos it can be hard for them to find like a nice way to be like, I'm only telling you these things because I want you to like, you know, be efficient or be your best. They're not doing it because like they want to be mean. Some of them could be. If a Virgo is feeling very dark on the inside, or like very self-critical, that criticalness will also be placed onto others as well. So I feel like for a lot of Virgos, like that is where their difficulty lies, in trying to find that happy medium. And a lot of Virgos I know are very interested in like health and wellness. A lot of them go into like the military field, or into a field where they're of service, because Virgos like to be of service to others. I say a lot. They like to be of service to others, so that energy gets placed in a lot of those fields. And like they're ruled by the 6th house, which is the house of work. So like they're made to work, and they want to help, they want to heal, they want to like make things efficient. They're very hard workers, and they are also still ruled by Mercury, just like Gemini is. So a lot of times that energy that like Gemini has, very, you know, intellectual, Virgos have that same energy, but in a much more grounded way, because it's an earth sign versus an air sign. So Mercury here makes them a lot, like they're still very interested in intellectual debates and like people who they can actually have like a good conversation with. It doesn't need to flit all around. They can get really deep into certain topics and have certain specific things that they like to talk about a lot. So yeah, I just think Virgos are very interesting. They're kind of like, I feel like they get ignored a lot in the wheel, so I kind of talk about them a little bit more, but they just have a lot to offer, and as long as like they are feeling at their best internally, they shine very well throughout the wheel. We would like all be sick and like confused and like unorganized if we didn't have Virgos, basically. Okay, Libras. Okay, Libras. Okay, so Libra is a very interesting one on the wheel for me as well, and I feel like there's like the further we get down the wheel, there's more complexities in my opinion, just because they represent different like stages and ages of life on the wheel. And the Libras that I know, I prefer Libra women to Libra men, and that's gonna be a whole nother video. No hate on like all Libra men, I just have some stories for you. But the Libras I know, they're very like, they remind me of like songbirds. Like they just seem like sweet little like birds from like a princess movie that just want to be in love and fly and be free and everything's beautiful and sweet. They're very like, they don't seem like they're just like, they seem like they're living in a whole other world, like in a dream, like romance world. I feel like they are very romance oriented or love oriented. Partnership, I mean, the Libra sign is the scales and balance, and a lot of times they try and find that balance through like a partnership. I think like their main thing is about being like in relation to other people. Like a lot of Libras I know are constantly thinking of others. I wouldn't say selfless, because they do consider themselves in the dynamic, but they are always thinking of other people. A lot of Libras that I know are interested in like finding harmony and peace within their relationships, their friendships, their environment. They are ruled by Venus, just like Taurus is. So whereas, you know, Taurus had the earthy energy, and Venus, they're like, I just want to like the five senses, and I want to feel good and smell good, taste good, blah, blah. Libra has it in the air quality, so like they want everything surrounding them to feel this way. They want like to like speak in love with people, and they want to feel love and see love and like be surrounded by it all the time and talk about love and think in things of terms of partnerships and love. So I feel like sometimes they might seem like escapists or like hopeless romantics, or like kind of like they don't really understand like the practical reality that they live in sometimes. So a lot of Libras can be known to be indecisive, because the decisions that they want to make aren't based on like anybody else's reality. They like have this vision in their mind of like how things should be, and making one choice could like totally lead, like they think about too many, I think, paths because of that whole like dream world that they live in. And instead of making one, they probably just go over and over and over again weighing the scales. Let's see. Anything else I know about Libras? Libras are very, I notice most of the Libras I know have a very natural fashion sense about them. They seem like they just understand aesthetics, and they just understand how to express their personality through their style very well. They just seem like what they wear is an extension of themselves, whereas other signs are like, I don't know, I just put on a shirt and then I'm like, you know, that's it. They like make what they wear an important part of who they are, or at least I think that they have a natural knack for it. Or even decorating, just like Taurus and that Venus quality, it's very like interior design and like style and fashion and just aesthetics. Like I feel like a lot of Libras probably have a very good aesthetic too. And yeah, I guess for like that downfall, like I said, because they're always trying to balance the scales and find harmony and peace, that can also be their downfall, because then they're always trying to balance it, and sometimes you just gotta like pick one and then go with it and see what happens. And then I don't know, a lot of Libras I know are kind of like that, and in the same sense where Gemini might be flaky, I would say Libras are indecisive. So yeah, I think that's it for Libra. What's next? Scorpio. Okay. Oh man, poor Scorpio. Oh man. Okay, so I know everyone, just like how everyone has a thing about Geminis, most people have a thing about Scorpios too, and they are like, they have so many stigmas and labels and stuff placed on them in astrology, just in general. Like when someone's like, oh my god, did you hear they're a Scorpio? Like they, A lot of people say that because they know that Scorpios are like considered like the sex sign, or like ruled by sex. And it is technically true because Scorpio is ruled by the 8th house, which is concerned with death and rebirth and transformation. But that doesn't mean that Scorpios just like to have sex with everybody. That is not what that means at all. So I feel like a lot of Scorpios probably get annoyed. And the Scorpios I know, like, I actually know a lot of Scorpios, and I didn't realize this until I was thinking about it, but from what I know about Scorpios, they just seem very powerful. They seem like they are experiencing so many more levels of what everyone else is experiencing and just don't say it or like show it, and they're like processing all their emotions all the time. And as far as water signs go, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio I consider the more fiery of the water signs, if that makes sense. Like Cancer would be like, okay, so Pisces would probably be like an ocean, and then Cancer would be maybe like a river. And yeah, because cardinal energy is kind of like that, like a river. And then Scorpio's like, I wouldn't even say like a hurricane, I don't know, like a typhoon. They're just like, maybe like an ocean on fire. Like if a fire, yeah, if the ocean was on fire, that's a Scorpio. Because they are ruled by the 8th house, a lot of the energy that they show onto other people is like about transformation. It's about death. It's about rebirth. So a lot of times when you know a Scorpio, like they aren't going to be like your typical person you talk to about just like, they don't want to talk about like basic everyday stuff. They like are deeper than that. They want to talk about things that are going to transform people. It's in their nature to transform people. So sometimes they can't even help it. And I'm sure some Scorpios probably don't want to be that way, but like they can't help it. People are drawn to them. People are drawn to Scorpio energy because Scorpios transform people. And when people are ready to be transformed or need a challenge or a break in their life, they go to a Scorpio to transform them. Let me see. They are ruled by Pluto and Mars. So this is the same energy that Aries has in that fire sign, but in the water sign of Scorpio, that Mars energy is a lot more emotionally charged. So it's going to be all about funneling and channeling those emotions, and like either a Scorpio will learn to like become one with their emotions, or they're going to be constantly fighting their emotions, and that is how they transform themselves. I would say of all the Scorpios I know, most of them know how to get what they want. And most of them don't have to do a lot to get it. They have a way of saying so little and gaining so much. And I think that's why I consider them the most interesting sign in the Zodiac, is because they have like this hidden knowledge, because it's 8th house, which is the house of the occultism. And occult doesn't mean like witch, it means like things that are hidden. So like they just seem like they hold a lot of mysteries about them. And I feel like most Scorpios in general know this, and some will use it to their advantage, and some like in a bad way, and some will use it in a positive way. And that's how you can tell how evolved Scorpios are, which I talked about Scorpio evolution in another video if you want to check that out. But I would say the weakness of a Scorpio, or the thing that Scorpios should definitely try, or the Scorpios I've met, like the things that they have to work on, is learning to channel those emotions into a positive transformation. A lot of them are so overwhelmed by what they feel already that like it's scary sometimes for them to let other people in. Like they don't want to be vulnerable at all. Like they don't really know how to like allow someone else's emotions to affect them, because they're already so affected by their own. So it can be very overwhelming for them. So if they learn like that their nature is to be transformative, and that they can take that energy and transform it into themselves, then that will be their strength versus like a weakness. I feel like they can be very afraid of vulnerability or opening up. And I feel like if a Scorpio can be vulnerable and open up, that is how they evolve, and that's how they reach like their highest sign. And the next sign is gonna be Sagittarius, and I love Sagittarius energy so much. Like when I think of Sagittarius, I think of just like opening up your arms and flying into the wind. You're just free. You're out here in the world experiencing it. You're not letting anything hold you back. You don't know why anyone else is holding themselves back. You don't understand why people just can't go for it, do what they want, and like not think about like limitations and only think about possibilities. Sagittarians are very optimistic in that way. And they are ruled by the ninth house, which is like the house of like philosophy and travel and like higher knowledge and learning and wisdom. Like they want to learn through their experiences, and they want a lot of experiences. They're always ready to grow and learn and change. And it kind of has that Scorpio-esque energy, but in a more positive and like forward moving way. They're not internal, they're external. Sagittarians that I know, as far as like their greatest strengths about being so optimistic and being so reinforcing about thinking of things in a positive way, a lot of their detriment lies in like the fact that because they see the world as it is to them, and like they don't have any like kinds of like impending doom thoughts or anything that would cloud what they think reality is, they can be very just straightforward about how they tell people things because life seems very straightforward to them. So if someone's like coming to them for advice about something and they're like, well, maybe if you wouldn't have been so this and this, like they're not telling them what that person like wants to hear, they're telling them what they need to hear, but they can be very blunt and harsh in their execution. So a lot of people like recoil at that, and they're like an asshole. Like they're not being an asshole, they just don't know like how to say things without sounding rude sometimes. And I think it's just because they're telling it like it is, which a lot of people do need, which is why we need like each sign in the wheel. They all provide you something that you might necessarily be able to provide yourself, which is why I think it's interesting to get to know all the different signs in the zodiac. They are ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of luck and expansion, and I really do notice a lot of Sagittariuses are naturally just very like lucky in life. They are like, yeah, I went and did this class, and then I got this, and I went over here and did that, and I got this scholarship, and now I'm here and I'm traveling there. And like they don't ever really, like anytime I'm checking in with someone who's Sagittarius, things are just going great for them. Like they're like, they know how to manifest. Like the law of attraction is just like natural in Sagittarian energy. So if you're a Sagittarius sun, you could literally manifest probably super fast, like faster than most people, just by being yourself and thinking about what you want and just knowing that like there's nothing really stopping you except yourself. The only other things I would say about Sagittarian energy is that when it comes to like romance and relationships and stuff, sometimes it can be hard for them to want to stay like, if they have a partner who wants to like, you know, be grounded and like in one place, it can kind of be hard for them to like feel like they can commit to that because they don't want to feel held back by anything. They are the person who pulls the bow and it shoots forward, and they go catch it, and they continually do that over and over again. So they kind of need someone who can do that with them, or is going to let them do it and like welcome them back without making them feel like bad for what they were, you know, out exploring without them, and then come back and just welcome them and like want to hear about it. They really need someone who understands that energy, because a Sagittarius will not let you tie them down. They will not let you hold them back. So they don't want to have that struggle, but a lot of them do. It depends on where Sagittarius is in your chart, but I notice a lot of Sagittarians wind up being very like kind of single for a long time. Most Sagittariuses I know wind up kind of like keeping their relationships not too heavy, or you know, trying to not make that their main focus for a long portion of their life, and try and just have fun with it before they like think about even settling like that. And that's Sagittarius. The next sign in the zodiac is Capricorn. Most Capricorns I know are very driven. They're very hardworking. They're very strong. They're very powerful. It's kind of like Scorpio energy, but in an earth way. And I know Capricorns probably get so tired of like every time they click on a video and they hear about their sign, it's like, Capricorns work hard. They care about money. They want to be at the top of the business chain. And a lot of Capricorns do want that, but there are also a lot of Capricorns who I find to be a lot more emotionally intuitive than that, and I think that has to do with their opposite sign on the wheel being Cancer. So they do have that energy within them. It just depends on what side of themselves they want to feed into, basically. Most Capricorns I do know though are very much about achieving their goals. Some of those Capricorns' goals may just be to make a lot of money or just to like feel on top or be successful, but a lot of them have a lot more personal goals. So for me, it's more about the fact that they just want to achieve certain things in their lives. And so for each Capricorn, that can be something different. It's just the overall tone for most of them does revolve around work, because they are ruled by the 10th house, and the 10th house is the like your work, your career. So a lot of their mental energy is revolved around like their career, their job, what's going to be a part of their everyday life. That's usually where their goals are surrounded by. But as long as it's something that you enjoy doing as a Capricorn, then I don't see any issue with that. It's when Capricorns think like, oh, I have to do this job, do this, this, and this, and I'm successful. I think as long as the Capricorn's like, what do I like to do? What do I enjoy doing all day, every day, because that's where I'm going to spend most of my time, then that is an achievement I feel like a Capricorn will feel better about later in life. They are also ruled by Saturn, and I feel like Saturn is like basically the planet that nobody likes. It's like the really strict dad that like makes you like forget about when you're having fun and doing like cool stuff. He comes in and it's like, well, you didn't do your chores and you need to go do this, and did you remember to do that, blah blah blah. Like they're just always like that. And so most of the Capricorn energy, Saturn can like make them feel like they always have to be on top of those things. Sometimes it's hard for them to relax and feel like they can just let go. So I feel like for Capricorns, where their strength is in working hard, their weakness is also in working hard as a Capricorn, because it can become debilitating for them if they feel like they're not doing it because they want to, but because they have to, or like that they will be like worth less if they don't do that. And you have value whether or not you have a certain type of career or you're in a career. I think that it can be detrimental to think that if you don't have a job or if you're not currently working, like, I mean, obviously you have to make money and stuff, but like people immediately think that they don't have value if they aren't making money, and I don't think that's a healthy way to view yourself. So I feel like a lot of Capricorns can have all these ambitions and whatnot, as long as they're placed in a healthy way. They are the ones that are like super successful. They are the ones that whatever their goals are, they achieve them. And I really like that about Capricorns, because they show you the fruits of hard work, and that like hard work is worth it if you stay committed. Basically, they're all about commitment. Yeah, that good word is commitment for Capricorn. Aquarius. I'm glad I just did that like that right before Aquarius, because Aquariuses are weird. Like all the Aquariuses I know are just, they're weird, and I like weird. So I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. Like I like people who are eccentric and like offbeat and like little oddities walking around. All the Aquariuses that I know are quirky. They all have such unique, distinct personalities. They're so true to themselves and who they are. They don't ever think about changing themselves for other people, and that's something I admire, because I often feel like, oh, I need to like make sure I don't like act this way around this person or this way around this person. I'll make them uncomfortable. Aquarius is just who they are, and if you don't like it, too bad. And I think for most Aquariuses that I know, they're the friend you'll have that is like, their comment will take the conversation from whatever everyone else is talking about and just send it way into outer space with whatever comment they say. It like takes your brain way out of where you're at, and you're like, what? And I love that about Aquarius. So another thing I noticed about Aquarius is that they are ruled by Uranus and Saturn. So they still do have that Saturn like energy, but they have Uranus in there too, and Uranus is eccentric and odd and rebellious and like changes things and shake things up. And so a lot of Aquariuses I know are very rebellious, or they do like to like break the status quo. If someone's doing it this way, they're gonna do it that way. If you're saying to do this, they're gonna do that. They don't want to conform at all. They want to do things very innovatively and very original. A lot of them are very science minded, or like future thinking or forward thinking. A lot of their ideas are like way ahead of their time, and so people can't take in what they're saying and apply it to like their reality right now, because Aquarians are so far ahead as far as humanity goes. Like I do think they're probably aliens sent here to try and like usher in the age of Aquarius, forward thinking and like thinking ahead of time and trying to bring in a bunch of new innovative ways to live. They are humanitarians. Their goal isn't like, it's not so much one-on-one as it is the collective. They are concerned about the whole world, the whole earth, all people on it. Like that's their main focus. So it's not to be dismissive of relationships. That's what they're thinking about. The next and last sign is Pisces. And Pisces, the Pisces I know are so just like that. They're like that. They just go somewhere. And I don't know where it is, but they live in such a spiritual world in the real world that it's so compelling just to like listen to when they do speak, because they're usually taking in stuff from the spirit world, and some of that gets relayed while they're speaking with you. So it's like very like ethereal. They seem very like mermaidy to me, or just like anything in a fairy tale or fantasy world. They seem very much not a part of this realm. Most Pisces I know, I actually don't know a lot of Pisces, but most of the Pisces I know are very sweet, very kind. They have a very placid nature about them, where they're just kind of like listening and open and like just kind of like letting you talk and like, you know, funneling everything in, and then they offer like, they just seem very sweet. I've never met a mean Pisces, honestly. Like, I think all the Pisces I met have been pretty nice. I don't know necessarily where I could find like where their strength is their weakness as far as like something super detrimental, but I do know they can get lost in their dream world, and they have a looser grip on reality. So sometimes when it comes to making practical everyday decisions, they can be very much like not a part of it. So if like they're in a relationship, the other person's definitely going to have to like have a stronger hold on reality, or otherwise they're both going to just be like drowning in like a spiritual ocean. As long as someone can stay afloat. The Pisces are very much just like Aquarius is humanitarian. Pisces are very much like that, just in a more one-on-one way, as Aquarius is like. Pisces rule that 12th house, which is like the other world, like the unknown, like things you can't even fathom. So Pisces just in general are already dealing with so much energy that people can't understand, but they're the most understanding because they kind of like understand everything. So they definitely have special qualities to being the last sign in the zodiac. So yeah, that is it for the signs in the sun. And yeah, okay, thank you for watching and listening to me for a really long time, because this video was super long, but it's done now, and I hope you learned something. Take some time to meditate today on your life, what you want in it, what you don't want in it, your sun sign and your strengths and your weaknesses. Drink more water, start a dream journal. I wonder if you can hear my sister right now. But anyway, I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are watching this, and